morning, everybody. It's breakfast with Bob. Yeah, yeah. Get ready, everybody, 'cause it's breakfast with Bob.
Thank you, Poncho Man. Welcome back to day 5. Breakfast with Bob from Kona and Huggo's on the Rocks. My name is Bob Babbitt, brought to you by Master Spas. SFuels go longer. HOKA, let's fly. Deboer wetsuits, Forum Smart Swim goggles, Zoot Sports, original triathlon brand. Quintana, Premium Plus Sports, and of course our Challenge Athletes Foundation. Our next guest, 3-time Olympian, 4-time ITU World Champion, 2-time Ironman Champion, 1-time world record holder, Mr. Tim Don. Round of applause. How you doing, Tim?
Hi. It's always good being in Hawaii.
It's the best, right? 6 years ago, though. 6 years ago, we chatted on the Wednesday, right? Wednesday of event week, and then the next day.
That day.
Oh, it was. So we chatted on. We chatted on Tuesday then.
Tuesday, yeah.
We chatted Tuesday. The next day, you got hit by a car out here and broke your neck.
Well, I didn't break it. He broke it for me. But yeah, no, I did. But the good news is that by the next year, they'd changed the junction. So now there's a central reservation, so the cars can't cut across the traffic to nip into the gas station to get petrol, to get fuel.
Wow.
But yeah, I was unlucky, but looking back, I'm very, very lucky with the outcome.
Well, when things happen like that on this island, they don't necessarily have the medical treatment to handle a trauma like that. So what, did they take you to Honolulu, or did they fly you all the way back home to Colorado?
No, so I went to Kona Hospital, and the staff there were absolutely amazing. It's above Captain Cook.
Yes.
And yeah, they looked after me really well. The doctors were on lots of conference calls with the hospital in Honolulu.
Yes.
And the choice was to kind of go to Honolulu to really get it sorted, or there was a small chance I was able to go back to Colorado, which is where I was living. And just with a young family, we thought it's better to probably go home, because if they were operating on me, it's not like you don't really want to be stuck in Hawaii in a hospital with your family miles and miles away. So yeah, I was fortunate that I flew home the night of the race, the day of the race.
How did they? I mean, did you have to lay down in a plane? What the heck?
No, so I had basically a very heavy neck brace on called an Aspen collar, and then it has an attachment similar to what Kat was wearing, actually.
Yes.
So it goes all the way down. And again, a friend of mine came out to support me. He flew back with me, so he missed watching the race. And yeah, the airlines looked after me fantastically in terms of I got on well before, I had to be stable, and literally we went straight from Denver Airport to the hospital in Colorado. And that's when I had another CAT scan, and that's when they gave me the options of, the possibility of me making a full recovery.
And the reality was you could have it fused, but then you really couldn't move your neck.
Yeah, and it's, any operation's a trauma, and the bone was on, the break was on the hangman bone, so it's quite a delicate operation, and later in life there could have been other complications. So they said, I was lucky, Dr. V, he'd done Kona before, so when you say you're active, some doctors think you walk the dog and, you ride to the pub and ride back again.
Exactly.
But he got it, and he said, look, if you want to try and be active, then this is the only way. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. What's a halo?
What's a halo? Yeah.
Literally.
And they're screwing things into your head, and if they a little too hard, a little too soft, it's a big issue.
It is, yeah. So they're 4 screws, and they anchor to your skull, and then there's this whole frame, and it's like a plaster cast that from here to my belly button, I couldn't move any vertebrae. Everything's kind of locked in. But the worrying thing is they tighten it with an Allen key, a torque wrench. And when you're tightening your carbon bikes, I think it's about 4 or 5 Newton meters, they tighten them to 6. And you can hear it kind of like click. And I'm sat there going, I wonder how they tested this. How do they know that 6 isn't too tight?
It's the right number.
And they're like, oh, sorry, crack your skull. Next one.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, mine kept on, my screws, after about 4 weeks, I started to try and do some exercise, sit on a turbo, do some lower leg. I was just going stir crazy. And my screws kept on coming loose, so I had to keep on having them tightened. And everything's just under a local anesthetic, like going to the dentist. So, and one screw, every time they tighten them, they go deeper into the skull. And one of them had been tightened so much that they were worried if they tightened it anymore, it was going to go all the way through. So just before Christmas, I thought, oh, you beauty, they're going to take it off because they can't tighten it anymore. And they said, oh, no, sorry, we're going to drill another hole next to it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, happy Christmas, Tim.
Yeah, happy Christmas, Tim. Could you sleep?
No, not. I mean, the first 3 or 4 weeks I was downstairs in an upright chair because any movement on it, I was on massive painkillers because you've got force. My neck didn't hurt, but
everything else did.
You got these titanium screws screwed into your, into your skull. So yeah, no, sleep was not very much at all, and I wanted to come off the painkillers as soon as possible, and that took a good couple of weeks. And eventually we had to get one of those hospital beds at home that moves so I could sleep upright, because sat in a chair, my legs were kind of like swelling out, even with compression socks on. So there were other small issues that I had as well that, that we had to work on. But I would say probably after about 2 months, 3 weeks and 6 days, the day before it came off, I was used to the pain and sleeping okay. And then it came off, and then you start all over again.
Well, and at that point, you're a professional athlete. You want to get back to doing that. When did you feel that? Because then you got to be scared. I don't want to trip. I don't want to yank my head. I don't want to sneeze. All that.
Yeah, it's funny. When they took it off, I was like, "Yep, let's go, full gas." And as he's loosening it, he says, "If you can imagine, your head's a bowling ball and it's been supported by spaghetti." And as he says that, he's taking it off, and I'm going, "What the heck?" And I think that's when it dawned on me the enormity of my task, because yes, my neck was better, but as I say, I hadn't moved my back. I'd lost so much muscle mass. I couldn't turn. The first night I tried to sleep laying down, and I got so much back spasms and cramps because my muscles couldn't support me. So yeah, that was a really hard week, because it was 3 months after the accident, and by then I was, I had a goal. I was ready to, we had a plan of maybe doing a race in the summer. And I was just like, I can't do it. I mean, I'm struggling walking. I was much better with the halo on.
Yes.
So yeah, it was that was a really tough time for me. But slowly we got through it. And Julie Dibbons, who was my coach at the time, John Dennis, who was my physio in England, he flew over. Obviously my amazing wife Kelly. The support that I had from them is just unbelievable. And it was actually 6 months, and you were there with me, Bob. 6 months after
Boston
breaking my
Marathon.
neck, I was there on Boston in perfect weather conditions, would you say, that year?
Oh my God. Torrential rain in Boston. This guy's going to go and do his first race since breaking his neck. It's going to be Boston Marathon, and it's a nor'eastern, and the rain's coming sideways, hail. The roads are I was so worried. The whole race, I was like, I hope Tim's going to be okay. All I needed was...
I was worried about you. You had an Elvis costume on. That must have been so heavy with all that cold water. That's legendary.
Yeah. It wasn't great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But so when did you feel you were back?
So it was towards the end of June. I went to Costa Rica and did a 70.3 because back then, to qualify for Kona, I had this crazy idea of wanting to race Kona the next year. It was a point system. So it wasn't you win a race, you're in. If you don't, there's a roll down. Right. You had to get so many points. And I couldn't do an Ironman. So I went there, and I had a great race. I mean, it wasn't the strongest field because it was
it's Costa Rica.
It's a long way to go. But I won the race, and for me, that was a turning point of true belief. I truly believed that I was going to make it. I knew I had a lot of work to do, but for me, that was definitely the turning. And
when you did come back here?
I did. So I went to Hamburg Ironman, and in the European summer, and I think I had to get 7th, and I finished 8th. So I didn't get enough points. I was ranked 51st in the world, and it was the top 50 athletes that qualified. So then I thought, well, I'm here. 2 weeks later, there's another Ironman. So I went to Copenhagen, had a great swim, came out in 44 minutes with 2 other guys. They crashed in the first 10K, and I'm like, I'm on my own with like a 6-minute lead. I'm not ready physically to ride on my own. I got caught by a load of athletes at the end, and I just had a real shocker. So I didn't actually qualify for Kona. So, that was it. The dream was over. And then about 3 weeks later, I got a call from Heather Fiora, who was then the pro athlete liaison. And she said, someone's dropped out. So you're 51st in the world and 50 went. And I spoke to my wife, and she said, well, you've kind of earned it. You didn't get offered a wild card or anything like that. So, I took my spot, and I came here, and there's a different vibe here. My wife and daughter came, so that was amazing. It was her birthday, 12th of October, so yesterday. So it's always around Kona. She had her birthday here, and I finished 36. Pro. It wasn't vintage, but I closed the chapter, and for me, that was probably one of the most fulfilling races I've ever done in my life.
How does it change you when you go through something like that?
It's perspective. I always talk about that word. I mean, there's always someone who's worse off than yourself, and even in that dire condition I was in, there was always someone worse off I would see in hospital, or someone would message me. And for me, it's just putting everyone's own troubles and celebrations as well in perspective, and celebrating as well. We really, really believe in, I'm not saying go crazy every day, but really, if you've got a chance to do something, grab the bull by two horns and just go for it. Absolutely.
Speaking of going for it, we were at Malibu for Super League a few weeks ago, and that's one of the greatest additions.
Go Eagles!
That's right, one of the greatest additions to our sport. These are amazing young men and women who go so ridiculously fast. And I was there at Malibu. They did the Eliminator. It was a 300-yard swim, 3-mile bike, 1-mile run, and as soon as the first heat's over, 4 minutes later, it starts again, right? And then after the second heat, the third heat is a time trial. So the first person goes, I mean, this is fast and furious racing. How did you get exposed to it? And obviously you loved it right away.
Oh, well, I'm pretty old. Back in the 90s, I used to race those races in Australia.
The International Triathlon Grand Prix.
The ITGP Tour and the St. George Formula One. So, I cut my teeth in that when I was a teenager. And I did the Arena Games in lockdown. So it's a 200-meter swim in the swimming pool. You jump on Zwift, Crit City, jump on a self-propelled treadmill, have a rest. You do it 3 times. And they invited me to do it in London at the Olympic pool, and I did. And I just fell in love with the pain. I always say short course is like an ice pick to the leg, while Ironman is that dull toothache that just doesn't. So I apologise if anyone's racing here, but they're different sorts of pain. You can't compare them, but they both hurt in their own peculiar way. That's how I got into it. They asked me to do some commentary, and I love that. And in the last 2 years, we've changed the format to have a teams category.
Yes.
And I'm now the manager of for the 3rd year of the Santara Tech Eagles. And next year, actually, we've sold some of the franchises. So we're going to have private owned and run teams actually as part of, and the series is expanding. But it's great for the youth, the younger athletes. They're really cutting their teeth. They're learning the skill set. On my team, I've got Fanny Salah, a 15-year-old young girl who is racing against Olympic medalists, the current world champion, athletes that are going to the Olympics. And such a short format, they're just like sponges. And we race in amazing places. We race in Malibu, we race in London, Toulouse. We're going to Neon in next weekend for the grand final. And next year, as I say, we've got more venues. But it's great. It's an hour production on television. It's really, really exciting.
Well, it was fascinating to me. I was interviewing Christian Blumenfeld, an Olympic gold medalist, Ironman world champion, 70.3 world champion, and he's doing those races. And I'm like, Christian, why? And he goes, because most races I go to, 90% of the time, I know I can win the race. Here, 20% of the time, I know I can win the race, and all my weaknesses are exposed here. If I don't transition well, if I don't accelerate out of a corner, if I'm not on somebody on the bike, I'm off the back. And that's why he loves it, because it works on his deficiencies, the things that he's weakest at. I see all the ITU athletes or the WTCS athletes, they love it because it simulates what they do, but it makes them better.
Absolutely. And I think, these guys love winning, but they love winning the hard way.
Yes.
And they don't just want to go, I know I can win this race. And I think you're right. Your mistakes get magnified and punished, but it teaches you. And the great thing is you don't have to wait 4 weeks to have another go. You've got 4 minutes and then you go again.
That's a great point.
And they can change things on the fly. And, as I say, we've got this team concept. So the managers are in transition, advising them, saying, they did this, they did that, they look weak here. You need to get in front of them on the corner so you can take the best line. And, it's a really, triathlon's good at the moment for the professionals. From the short course all the way up to Ironman. It is a great place to be a professional
especially
athlete.
Ironman just announced their series.
It's fantastic.
$1.7 million. You got PTO. You've got challenge races. You got Ironman. You got Clash is still out there. And then obviously you have Super League. Yeah. And it's the best. I love all of it because people can find out what's my strength, what's my weakness. Maybe in the PTO races, maybe they're too short for me. I can go do the Ironman or mix and match. I'm sure you're going, I wish I was a pro now.
I do, but man, they're going fast.
They are going
It is,
really
Yeah, I mean, just both the male and female times are coming down. The attention to detail with training, those marginal gains, which only 5% of the field were focusing on, is 95% are focusing on, and those are fine margins when it comes to being a Kona champion, being a world champion, a Super League champion. So really exciting time.
So as a coach, and it's cool because you guys are mic'd up and you get interviewed throughout because you've got your team, you want to be in the right position, they've got a thing. What I couldn't understand, I still can't figure out short shoot. Who the heck gets it? They actually, when you're heading towards the finish line, somebody is able to go and basically cut the course and take the short shoot to the finish. How do they get that?
So the short shoot is about a 3-second saving on the last run, and there are 3 short shoots. So you get them by being first out of the water. That's the first one. The second one is first out of T2, so your bike and transition.
Right.
And the third one is the first one across the finish line of the first race.
Heat.
Or if it's an enduro, the first one across the mount line. And that goes to the team. And then the manager decides. So you could earn it for the Santara Tech Eagles, but I might give it to Dave
somebody
Scott
else.
or Mark Allen or Natasha Badman. No, male and female.
Yeah.
And if we win 3, we can only take 1, but it means no one else gets
You
one.
keep everybody else from getting them.
So when we first started, you'd give it to your best athlete because it gives them the best chance that they're going to win. But now was it $1.36 million in prize money? It's very heavily focused on the team prize money. If I can give it to someone who's in a pack of 5, and it means they jump from, say, 7th, and they can overtake, a couple of people and come 4th, 5th. As a team, we're going to generate more
revenue,
more points. So therefore, so now it is becoming a tactical sport, more. And as you say, the managers are mic'd up, and they do a great job with the commentary and the on-screen graphics. It's a real fast and furious kind of like race.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. Besides that International Triathlon Grand Prix going way back, and Super League just bought Chicago and New York. Right, so you're going to have Malibu, Chicago, New York, the 3 best short course races in the country, exposing Super League to thousands and thousands of people.
I don't think we're going to have Super League at all of them.
You aren't?
We're just with the logistics in New York.
I
because
wondered
you've got
about
the
this.
swim.
Yeah, different places. Double
the swim.
transition.
It's a split transition. We did look at having the swim in the lake in New York.
Yes.
But it was something like $4.2 billion. No, it cost too much to clean it, and it just wasn't. But yeah, without a doubt, we're looking at new venues, and definitely there'll be 2 races in North America, along with Malibu, and then hopefully, Chicago. But nothing's confirmed yet. But yeah, I mean, they really want to merge the high octane, like here in Kona, you've got the best in the world,
right?
Racing for, to be a Kona world champion, and you've got the age groupers, and we love the fact that we can have age group races on at the same time in London, Toulouse, and when we've raced in Munich, we have junior races where they do an aquathon the day before. We have team relays, so we really try and put everything together and have a great show and a great weekend of sport.
Perfect. How about a round of applause for Mr. Tim Don? You are the best, my friend. Thank you so much. Poncho Man, take us out.
Good morning, everybody. It's breakfast with Bob. Yeah. Get ready, everybody. It's breakfast with Bob.
Poncho Man. Woo.